Yo, what's up guys? I'm Grandmaster Shaymin and welcome back to the channel. Today another episode of Fatal 12, so make sure you click that thumbs up button down below for me because you already know your support is greatly appreciated. In the last episode, we saw, well, the elimination of you had occurred, and we found out that, of course, Naomi here is safe and sound, thank goodness. And we got some post post you stuff, as well as Rinka deciding to do everything that she can to change fate. But Miharu seems to be not quite convinced just yet. Did things go well? They went how you'd probably worried they would. My response leaves her a bit surprised. I'm aware of how smart Naomi is. There's no doubt she realized what we were arguing over. It's even more reason for me to find a way for both of us to survive. It's not like I don't have any leads. Take this book, for example. I never paid too much attention to it, thinking it's just a tool for divine selection, but it might be worth having a deeper look at its design and binding, that sort of stuff. What would you gain from doing so? Information regarding divine selection, rather the goddess behind it. We've been so focusing on the dream world and the events in the real world being altered that we simply accepted everything about it. We never once tried to go against the rules because we let ourselves be convinced that we shouldn't. In reality, though, we should have let ourselves question the very nature of divine selection. I guess we should research Parka, too. I'm not too familiar with ancient myths and stuff, but there might be something about her. I should be able to help with that. I actually did some research myself based on her claim of being a goddess. I figured I might be able to find something useful. I walked away convinced that myths are just myths in the end, but we might find something that will come in handy now. Naomi whips out her notepad and flips the first few pages. She must have written stuff down while researching. After reading through them a bit, she turns her attention back to me. Parka is a generic term used for the fates in Roman mythology. Interesting. They were 3 in total: Decuma, Nona, and Morta. Each exists as equivalent of the Morai from Greek mythology. Apparently, they decide the individual fates of each person at their birth. That's close to what Parka said in the dream world. What's more, both the court and clock of fate are there. The dream world itself is filled with clock and gear motifs. The numbers given to each participant coincides with those on an analog clock, too. Time, Greek mythology's Chronos, is most well known when it comes to deities like that, I believe. Parka said that our 3 cards represent our past, present, and future. Does that mean fate is represented through time itself? That reminds me, the card book has gears in its design, doesn't it? A number of gears within a clock, yes. In that case, it's possible to make the connection from gears to clocks and clocks to time, and finally time to fate, right? You even see expressions like the Wheel of Fate in books all the time. Well, that only helps us understand the motif behind the dream world. It doesn't really help us, doesn't really feel like we've gotten near the core of the matter. Hang on, don't you think it's a bit odd for the dream world to have a motif at all? How so? Do you think of something? Not quite, but Parka claims to be a goddess, correct? Why would she design something to comply with motifs that regular humans would think of? She explained that the dream world is designed in order for us to be able to perceive it because we can't under normal circumstances. If that's the case, then it only makes sense that it would be full of stuff that we normally associate with fate and the like. We just made the connections there ourselves, in fact. Plus, one personal perception plays a vital role in the contents of one's own cards. That makes sense, but sorry, something just feels off despite you making a good point. No need to apologize. Don't forget that feeling. Us participants didn't question any of this stuff. Naomi nods, but still looks somewhat apologetic. I can't quite understand what she's feeling, in all honesty. Chances are part of me is still convinced that there's no point in overthinking things because Parka is a goddess. I'm And here I was telling myself I'd quit that sort of thinking not long ago. I didn't prove to be useful after all. Don't say that, it's not true. I should have figured out something was up far sooner, yet Naomi here is the one to go ahead and do research before I even noticed. I guess we should wrap things up for today. Want to come with me to the library after school? The library? I'd love to. Thanks. We'll start with the card book first. Okay. It's already dark out, so I walked Naomi to the station. She said she'd be fine, but Odette knows all about Lion House, which means Alan probably knows too. I can't see them focusing their efforts on me at this point, but even so, I'd rather not let Naomi walk around at night on her own. It's probably a good plan. Alright, now we see Miharu's perspective. How many times must I repeat myself? Stop calling a regular high school student to a shady place like this, especially when they're out of the way. They're on their way home from work. I'm exhausted. Keep it brief. Work, huh? You should just quit that lazy joint. Looks like there's plenty of night jobs around here that pay better, too. She's not doing it for the money, Federico. It's the atmosphere that keeps you there, isn't it? It's the atmosphere that makes me want to quit, actually. Miharu finds herself at Milk Crown once more. Scale and Federico are perched on their usual seats. Naturally, Odette is nowhere to be seen. Might I ask where Odette is? Miharu heard the details from Rinka, but opts to play the fool. This is the first gathering since Odette had told them to leave the heavy lifting to her. Miharu finds herself curious about the two parties' exchanges between them and today. Surely you're keen enough to realize she's defected. What's more, she took the information I provided and used it to eliminate you, all while cooperating with your friend, too. She probably worked together with Alan. What makes you say that? Just a hunch. Rinka can't fight her way out of a paper bag, can she? That comment doesn't sit with Miharu, but she lets Federico continue. The news was talking about some dude who got shot but disappeared. Alan's the only one who could have put that off. Good point. That serves with the issue of whether or not Odette and Alan could still be working together. Rinka may be as well, but we probably don't need to worry about her. Could swing either way, really. Odette has nothing but praise for his information network. Well, that makes their elimination our top priority. Scale Federico and Miharu versus Rinka, Odette, and Alan. That is the situation those two are imagining, but Miharu knows that isn't the case. There are 3 teams, not 2. Scale and Federico, Miharu and Rinka, and Odette and Alan. 2 versus 1. Miharu's goal is to obscure Rinka's participation. Taking both on at the same time seems like a recipe for a disaster. I could tell you his cause of death right now, but you still have no leads on his regret, correct? I went through all the public records and interviews with him thus far, but it's as you say. I've been looking into his personal life, but right now all I've got is information about his family. His family? His mother died of an illness while he was young, and his father was murdered when he was 16. Murdered? How did that happen? His father was running a smaller jeweler business of his own. He'd buy up ore from the mines within India and sell it off the manufacturing companies themselves. I'm not sure if the money is what changed him or not, but he started to get greedy at some point. He started to loan money out to those who wanted it. Well, moneylenders aren't exactly the nicest people in the world. It's easier to say he was a loan shark more than anything else. That's how bad it got. So basically, he had a grudge. Someone with a grudge smoked him. It's his own fault for getting it done, then. Federico's claim held extra weight because he had done the same work as Alan's father during his days at the Mafia. Scale shrugs in agreement. Oh, well then. Miharu is able to establish a link between this information and the cause of death she is privy to. Alan's ex-points is using his father's connections after that to build up his company and make a fortune, all while in his teens are pretty well known. Speaking of his family, he currently has 4 younger brothers and a younger sister. His income is what's supporting them, it seems. Wouldn't his family that make his family his regret, then? I figured that myself, but no dice. That's all I have intel-wise. I've already tried stuff related to his business and fortune, but no. They're all I got, man. His family definitely seems suspect. I won't promise anything myself, but I've already got a butt on the case. He'll get a He'll get a hefty reward if he finds anything out. One of your buds, huh? Oh, I can't reveal my own information here. Think of him as journalist of sorts. Miharu nods in her head once again. I guess I'll be keeping his cause of death to myself for now. What? Why is that? My position is no different from Rinka's in the other group. You can cut me off with ease once you think I've outlived my usefulness. It's only natural to think like that. I'm fine with you keeping it to yourself until we uncover his regret. Makes it easier to proceed, knowing we don't need to worry about his cause of death. Guess us two gotta put in the work then. I'm aware. You're going after Odette, aren't you? Must be tough going up against a former comrade. You know how to piss people off, don't you? Not as bad as Odette, though. Anyway, I've already figured out her cause of death. Really? When did you manage that? Last night. Something came to mind when I was looking at my wounds. Can't spill the details since it's related to my own info, but both of us were in the same place when we died. She has a big wound on her stomach from back then. As you saw, the wound was gone when divine selection kicked off. Easy to assume it was her cause of death. Federico takes a card from his book, allowing both to glance at it. Its contents reads as follows. Number 11, blood loss. Miharu and Scale are unable to obtain the card themselves, however. Both understand that this is due to their lack of knowledge as to how that came to pass. I'm amazed you forgot about that until now. Oh, shut it. It's hard to remember important stuff when you're stuck around the beast all the time. You were both in the same place when you died. Wouldn't it be safe to assume she knows your cause of death as well? Yeah, I pretty much figured that. I guarantee she doesn't know my regret, though. Wouldn't make any sense if she did, but opted not to elect me during the last election after I stabbed her in the back. That does make sense. More importantly, you said you've got a lead on her regret, right? As I recall you saying that too, Federico has a good chance of electing her at this rate. Would you mind revealing that info to us? Do keep in mind I only mentioned having a lead. I don't have any solid idea on what it is. This is probably the best time to reveal it, so I'll go ahead and do so if you're okay with that. I'm fairly sure it's related to the concept of a child. Miharu makes sure to explain her reasoning. Sophia served as the trigger for this line of thought. Odette granted her the opportunity to see the world for herself. She never had to do such a thing. She simply could have forced the information out of Sophia then and there. The risk of Sophia revealing her information did exist, but Odette could have handled that in a number of ways. Instead, she chose the most inefficient, yet compassionate route. Sophia trusted that decision of hers too. Miharu is aware that Sophia is wise beyond her years. She wouldn't have believed Odette so readily. It would have been normal to assume Odette would break her promise immediately. That was part of the puzzle that just didn't fit. Once that led Miharu to a certain theory. Sophia understood that Odette was being compassionate, not by instinct, but because she knew Odette's regret. I'm pretty sure she mentioned she was the type to act based on her emotions, not logic. She turned down or accepted work based on them. That's quite an interesting theory. Not quite enough to make a card appear yet. It's most likely based on circumstantial evidence. What I'm about to say now is only my own conjecture. Odette is the type of person not to let others decide how she lives her life. Isn't that right, Federico? You ain't gonna find many people who refuse to take orders the way she does. Federico gives a clear answer and a deep nod. Scale rests his chin on his head. He seems to follow Miharu's implication. When he catches Miharu's gaze, he offers his own thoughts. She's unmarried and has no children, as far as I know. But assuming a child is linked to her regret, then it might be a case of her not being able to give birth. Perhaps due to physical complications. However, no card benefits from his conjecture. Scale remains convinced that they're on the right track regardless. We're missing something, but I'm pretty confident that's a good lead to follow. Alright, I'll have to dig up Odette's clinical records. Should be fine to stick purely to maternity and genealogical exams.
That settles things then. I'll be going now, so to get in contact if you find something out. As I said before, I'd rather avoid coming here too often.
Wait. I don't mind if you go somewhere else. So how about we keep hanging out? Ain't no problem if you leave in the morning.
You are a scumbag, you know that.
Miharu shoots Frederico an icy glare before leaving. She has no idea that both of the men wind up drinking till morning. Of course they fucking do. Get shit-faced?
Naomi's alive. She's really alive. I still can't get over how happy I am. I saw her die right in front of my eyes, but here I am, able to see her alive and well once again.
It's nothing short of a miracle, but at the same time, Yu's remorseful cries after I left him have stuck with me. Those are his earnest feelings. I've experienced the scene of his death. Both of us died on the train, but in the manner in which we passed differed. I've already made the decision, though. Those memories aren't enough to stop me now. I don't regret my decision. His life has served as a stepping stone to propel myself forward. Let's see here. The Lion House will be back in business starting tomorrow. I've already gotten in contact with my gran about logistics, and I sorted out all the orders required. All I have to do is go to bed, but I keep futzing on my phone? I've never heard someone use futzing before. I want to talk to my gran for a bit, mainly because I have nowhere else to funnel all the feelings I've experienced the past several weeks. She did tell me that it's fine to spoil yourself once in a while after she noticed how little I let myself cry in front of others. I should be able to get away with it, just for today. Yeah. We ended up talking a lot longer than anticipated. Well, it's most likely because she blabbed on about when I was a baby. It was a topic she only touched on briefly before, but at about the time I was born. Apparently, my parents passed away in a fire immediately after my birth. She didn't remember much about what happened herself, by nature of both the shock and how busy she was at the time. No one remembers the actual time my mom gave birth to me. My dad probably would, but he's no longer here either. According to her, I was found crying in the smoldering ruins of the fire, almost like I magically appeared out of the flames. Fran also doesn't remember how she came to learn my name. However, she does remember that my mom was the one to name me Rinka, as well as the meaning behind my name. It all comes as quite a shock to me. The details of what happened were vague, but I was able to accept it considering those who witnessed it were gone. I was well aware what it's like to spend your days in a daze after a traumatic event. My memories lapse surrounding the events that led to becoming a participant in Divine Selection is proof of that. For my gran, this took place 16 years ago. It wouldn't be odd for something to trigger her memory, but as far as I'm concerned, there's no need for that to happen. I might have thought differently last month, but I'm not the same person as before. What makes you bring this up now? There's a noticeable pause. She's usually the type to give a quick, concise answer, so it's rare for this to happen. I hear her mulling it over for a moment before finally speaking up again. We then finished the conversation off with some small talk before hanging up. She was acting a bit strange. A person's life is a miracle in and of itself. I want you to know that. That did nothing to answer the question. She doesn't normally talk like that either. This is the first time I heard her say such a thing. There was something about it, though. It set my heart ablaze. Interesting. That's oddly vague. Ellipses? Double ellipses? This is weird. I'm aware of what's going on in my dreams despite it not being Sunday. I've experienced this a number of times before. I'm not in the court of fate either. It's almost like another side of the dream world entirely. It's not long before I hear a man's voice ring out. Hey there, been a while. Or not. I'm best off skipping the formalities. Are you Kronos? You my dude? Did you eat your children? You've settled the score with your fate, but the road ahead will be an arduous one. It's up to you to forge your own path and from the limitless possibilities out there.
doing so is nothing miraculous. Think of it as simply riding on the tracks of your life. I must admit that I'm finally finding myself interested in you humans. That willpower you all possess, how very unique. I shouldn't waste your time any longer. You're aware of what my presence in your dream entails, right? It's time to unravel another layer of your memories. I feel my consciousness fade once again. His granting voice gradually fades into the distance as I fall deeper into the sea of my subconscious. So we're getting another memory. Oh my god. It's her memory of, like, when she was born? That's crazy. Flames power enough to flake the skin off from my bones. My skin is charred, my lungs destroyed by the smoke. My life turns to ash. My inability to move even my fingers tells me as much. Long pause. Long pause exclamation point. 2 long pause exclamation points. I hear someone shouting. They shout the same thing over and over. The voice is eventually swallowed up by the roaring flames. My consciousness is dissipated by the time their voice fades completely. Close up of Rinka. Ah! Oh man, I got it right. Look at that. Another morning where I wake up screaming. This time it's due to the frightful dream. Meow. I notice Leith laying right on top of me as I think things over. It feels like this has happened before. I figure out the contents of my dream are my memories of a specific event. Memories of when I lost my life in an explosion on the train. Memories of an event that can't be undone. That had been undone, one that represented just a single possibility. Up until now, anyway. I'm not 100% sure why. Perhaps the world underwent some changes after my recent actions. There's no clear answer for now, at least. Those weren't memories of what happened on the train, which means they were memories of a much earlier time. They're possible they came back to me after what my gran told me over the phone. Something doesn't quite fit, though. I understood what was happening in my dream. There's no way a newborn would be able to form such vivid memories. What in the world was it then? Meow. I wasn't asking you, buddy. The only response I get is Leith's meow. It throws my concentration off a bit, so I end up petting Leith for a bit before going for my morning routine. I swear, Leith has got to be connected to the Court of Fate and all that shit. Well, just you and me again today. Mao and I go to the rooftop during lunchtime. My dream woke me up pretty early, so I had enough time to make my own lunch. Meanwhile, Mao is eating a fruit sandwich, and pan, and a strawberry milk to wash it all down. I feel my heart clogged just looking at that lineup. My sweet tooth's been itching today, so she says before she starts to munch away. Miharu didn't come to school today. I was a bit worried at first, considering this happened right after we had our little fight, but she did message me telling me not to worry. Granted, telling me that without explaining the situation is going to make me do the opposite. Just for all of you people out there, take note. Don't ever just be like, don't worry, because you're just going to make people worry twice as often. I know it's best if I say put, though. The last thing I want is to mess things up for her while she's dealing with Scale and Federico. I make plans to hit the library with Naomi after school. I wasn't sold on the idea when I first asked her, but I figure our school's old enough to probably have some potentially worthwhile information hidden somewhere. Of course, I've still got to work at the Lion House as well, so the plan is to grab a number of books related to design and borrow them. There you go, being all pensive again. Sorry about that. I get started on my lunch after Mao snaps me back into my reality. And I'm not accustomed to making my own lunch, but it's pretty good all things considered. Spending time like this, eating and chatting with Mao, helps me realize that I haven't lost my regular life just yet. Hey, Rennie. Mao cuts off the small talk all of a sudden. Her tone goes far more reversed than usual. We're in the middle of a half-heartedly discussing a shoujo manga, but I want to make sure she has my full attention now. I'm not sure what you three are up to, and I ain't really concerned since you still hang out with me. But the thing is, I can tell you've all been acting weird ever since the end of Golden Week. And our plans to hit up karaoke, go bowling, and even go to the movies or aquarium kind of went poof. When did we agree to go bowling into the aquarium? Oh, just thinking ahead, maybe. Always good to have a bunch of things set up, a bunch of things you want to do.
Mao hesitates before she continues. You know what? Forget about it. Kind of lost what my point was going to be anyway. Yeah, okay. Both of us are not in agreement. We see each other a good amount already anyway. Following that, we return to our small talk. The discussion continues even after the bell rings and we make our way back to class. Okay, cool beans, cool beans. Nice, calming, you know, the usual. Having taken the day off from school, Miharu finds herself in one of Shinjuku's expansive parks. Oh. There's a park near Lion House, a park dear to Rinka. Rinka isn't the one with her, though. So here we are. What? Why is she hanging out with Odette, too? So here we are. Sure don't feel like no final destination. When did you realize it referred to this place? Ain't no way I just up and realized it. Had to do some research. Although it didn't take much. Clock towers like that aren't too common in this country. Sorry, that was maybe a silly question. Even you would struggle to connect the dots in a foreign country based on intuition alone. This is a very interesting scene. Look how freaking massive her hand is. It's like the size of Miharu's face. She could just grab Miharu's face and just explode it. Wait, is she carrying? Oh, she's carrying a cup, a can of soda. Okay. For some reason, I thought it was like freaking mayonnaise or something. I was off a little bit. Both Miharu and Odette set their eyes on the clock tower in the distance as they talk. Neither bothers to sit down. The situation would come as no surprise to those who know Odette well enough. Miharu was making her way to school as always when Odette showed up all of a sudden. As that followed was a simple request for Miharu to come with her before dragging her along by force. While that made it obvious how she must have treated Federico, Miharu still finds herself on edge. Her own wariness would prove meaningless, though. Odette just wanted to visit an art gallery. Miharu figured that denying her proposition would require too much effort, so she opted to join her. They didn't go for the standard displays, however. Their sights were set on the seasonal art exhibition. It was focused easily on one of the most famed artists of all time, Van Gogh. Miharu isn't too familiar with the arts. She subscribes to the belief that expanding one's knowledge should take precedence over enjoying others' creations. Interesting. The school of thought clearly doesn't apply to Odette. There was a look of nostalgia in her eyes as she was taking in his works. It was a complete contrast to her hearty belief. While born in Holland, Van Gogh spent most of his days in France. Many of his paintings used France as their motif too. Miharu wasn't convinced that the look in Odette's eyes was fueled solely by memories of her homeland, though. Odette eventually stopped in front of the painting of a farm village titled The Harvest. She spent over 30 minutes staring at it. It was almost as though she had lost herself in the painting. Miharu made no attempt to speak to her during that time. She had every opportunity to leave, but she never took it. She was never able to figure out what Odette was thinking. However, the moment made Odette feel truly human to her, and the same sensation as she learned of the compassion she showed for Sonia. Bet you weren't expecting to see me like that. No kidding. The extent of your knowledge is no secret by this point, but I figured you'd be the type to snub the arts. Who knew you'd stare at paintings with the look of an entranced child? Damn right I am. Ain't no one gonna focus on the present in the face of true art. Odette casts her eyes at the sky as she speaks. A gentle breeze floats past us, bringing with it a murder of crows. Odette's choice of words leads Miharu to a certain idea. You must be aware that we're closing in on your regret, right? Don't tell me you called me out here because of that. Yep, hit the nail on the head, kid. Chances are Federico's gonna figure out my cause of death soon, too. So you came to me because I'm the easiest to discuss things with. Wait, negotiation isn't a tactic you use. Miharu fires a glance at Odette. She's on high alert now. At the same time, her alarm serves to trigger her nerves. Relax, I ain't planning on doing anything to ya. Divine selection's just a big game to me in the end. If I win, I live. If I lose, I kick the bucket. If the road's coming to an end, then all I gotta do is enjoy it till then. I'm fairly sure the people you eliminated never saw it that way. Sophia in particular. Then again, I don't have much of a right to say that myself. Miharu trails off, shaking her head. Odette and Federico may be the ones who led Sophia to her elimination, but it was Miharu who ultimately carried it out. Her reasoning, however important it may be to her, will never change that fact. Do you want to live? Sure as hell do. The more exciting stuff there is left to do, the better. Here's the thing, my regret ain't something I'll ever be able to achieve, so I ain't got no issue with dying. Life itself has been something of a game for me anyway. In fact, you can't change shit, no matter how much you level up. So my feeling that something was off proved correct. Your body is. Don't worry, I'll talk. Consider it a freebie. The place I was born resembles the village in Van Gogh's The Harvest. It was a big old countryside stuck away in the past. Yo, we're getting Odette's backstory. Odette's gonna get eliminated next. That's wild. Or probably, I'd assume. Odette shares the story of her past with Miharu. Miharu takes it all in. There's no hint of sentimentalism as Odette reveals both her past and regret. In fact, it sounds the same as if she were telling an inconsequential story. Miharu finds herself unable to say anything for a while, even after Odette finishes. There's no easy way to sum up what she's heard. As a fellow woman, harsh doesn't begin to describe it. I think I've lost the right to berate Rinka now. The first thing to emerge is criticism towards herself. Odette lets out a hearty laugh when she hears that. Feeling sympathetic, are we? No, I just don't quite know what to say to you. Odette's complete lack of emotion towards her own past strikes fear in the heart of Miharu. She shows no sign of either sadness or anger. Odette is a broken soul. That's how Miharu feels. The reality that her regret would elude her for her entire lifetime likely took its toll on Odette over a long period of time. Why did you share this with me? Because you got the right idea about what it takes to be strong. I'm not sure what you mean. Miharu gives up trying to follow Odette. The concept of enjoying oneself holds more meaning than is imaginable. Miharu understands that much. She gets the hidden meaning behind doing what one can to enjoy the present. That's why she can't figure Odette out. Just so you know, you're going to be Scale's target during the next election. I reckon he knows you and Rinka are still buddy-buddy, but he's letting you off the hook for now. The 8th round will probably involve Federico electing me and Scale electing you. He'll be able to achieve his goal by getting Alan's cause of death card from you after that. He's basically already done with you. Excuse me. Miharu fails to hide her surprise at Odette's sudden claim. Not over the idea that Scales is done with her, though. I know he's in possession of my regret card already, but when did he get a hold of my cause of death? That cunning of yours backfired. The fact that you always keep those wrists of yours hidden. Shit. You're kidding. Miharu. That's all 3. That's not good. No way. Miharu rubs her wrist. Oh, that makes sense why she's wearing gloves with her short sleeve. Oh, man. Rubs her wrist on reflex. Whenever Miharu wore long sleeves, they seemed to be intentionally longer than usual, and when with short sleeves, she always wore gloves. And with that, she does so to keep her wrists concealed, even when stretching out her arms. In cases where one might be able to peek, she would use her bag, card book, or even other hand to keep them concealed. Ain't unusual for kids in puberty to slit their wrists. Take that plus a quick background check and it's easy to figure out your cause of death. Yo, so that means Odette probably knows all about her as well. Even more so for a guy like Scale. They'll let you wear long gloves at that whatever cafe where you work, don't they? That's pretty rare for restaurants. He even took the time to pay you a visit there to confirm his suspicions. It's a bit frightening just how much you know. I ain't gonna take that from the girl who figured out my regret from a minor decision I made. I don't get it. Why tell me all of this? I assumed you'd find some fun in knowing the person responsible for your elimination would get a taste of their own medicine. Oh, come on. Just watching you realize that others have seen through your weakness does the trick for me. Scale's keen when it comes to other people's weaknesses, which is why he's good at gathering intel. You're kind of similar to him, but fundamentally different. Let me say this loud and clear. I love you, kid. I mean that Pardon? 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 What? Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, wait. You're joking, right? No. No. That's no. What? Romantically? You're joking. Oh my god. Maybe fall for... What? That ability of yours to zoom in on the weak side of others made me fall for you. Granted, I'd been interested ever since you beat me to the punch during the 4th round. Doubt I need any explanation why I'd want someone like that to live now, do I? Where did that come from? I'd much rather you not toy with me. Miharu loses her composure due to Odette's sudden confession. I would too! What the fuck? Dude, what? No way! She pouts a tad, averting her eyes from Odette, who continues after that. I ain't joking. Me and you, we're both weak. Weak people are always gonna attract one another. Besides, I swing both ways. So long as the face and body do the job, I'm down. Guess you could say that me and Federico are similar in that regard. She's not joking. I was waiting for the punchline. She's not joking. What? Nani? There's no way. What? Odette is bi? Why? What? That's actually wild. I was not expecting Odette to just confess to Miharu right there. What? She's so much older than her too. That's crazy. I'm sorry, but I can't accept your feelings assuming you're actually serious. Rinka's the only one my heart has room for. One-sided love's just another sign of being weak, huh? Though I gotta tell you, that girl probably ain't into what you're looking for. Oh please, I'm not looking for anything. I know. Odette follows her sarcasm with a serious expression. The sudden switch frightens Miharu a bit, but she takes every effort to show her own fortitude in the face of it. Don't make the girl you love sad. You get what I mean, don't you? Painfully so. Miharu nods while answering. She made the decision to offer her life for Rinka's sake, yet she knows that decision will not result in Rinka's happiness. I'm just letting that Federico dumbass elect me. For ain't no fun though. Want to help me out a little in exchange for turning me down so fast? Odette explains her plan without waiting for a response. The idea takes Miharu by surprise, but she nods in agreement. Atta girl, I knew I could count on you. Of course you can. Alright. I better not see you in hell, you hear me? Don't worry. The only place I'll end up is at Rinka's side. You're making me jealous over here. Anyway, it's been a pleasure. It's you. Leaving Miharu with the final words, Odette walks off. Miharu collapses onto a nearby bench in an effort to calm herself down. Once she settles down, she remains there until sunset. Odette's comments about weakness leave her deep in thought. I'm still stunned. I can't even... What? I am going to end it off there. So thank you all for watching. Make sure you click that thumbs up button down below for me because you already know your support is greatly appreciated. Leave a comment in the comment section down below for me and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already for future content. And we'll see you all next time.